Hey friends, it's Janene and you're watching Create with Janene. So today I'm going to be sharing with you this really cute thin cut set. This is a metal die cut set from Close to My Heart and it's called Thanks. It's a 2-piece set. So when you buy this, you're going to get a base and an outline. The order number on this is Z3684, and guess what? It's only $9.95. So I will put a link to my website and a little bit more detail below. But I wanted to share this with you for a couple reasons. First of all, it's so affordable. I mean, a metal die cut with both two pieces, top and bottom, for under $10 is incredible. If you have a copy of our catalog, it's on page 55 of the annual core catalog. And today I'm going to show you what you can do with this and why you're gonna love it, okay? So first of all, like all of our die cuts, they come on a metal sheet so that it's very easy to keep these together and it won't fall off, and this comes in a plastic sleeve. So first thing is, I love that. Second of all, you'll notice if you look closely on this, as with some other die cuts out there, you're gonna see these little holes on there. And if you're looking at that wondering, is that gonna cut? Am I gonna have holes in it when I cut? That's not it at all. If you have run this through your embossing machine, which I'm gonna do here shortly, and you find that your paper is sticking and you can't get it out of the metal mold, that's what this is for. Grab a piercing tool or the end of a pen cap, something that's very thin, and this just lets you kind of poke where those little holes are to loosen that grip. So I wanna make sure that you know that first. Now let me show you what a finished one looks like. Isn't this the cutest thing you've ever seen? I'm gonna show you exactly how these parts and pieces come together. So let's start by pulling out our embossing machine. This is the one from Close to My Heart that I really, really like. And you can ask me or ask your consultant about how to get this, okay? So the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab a scrap piece of paper and I'm gonna put my metal dies on these face down. Okay, so then once I've done this face down, if you're worried about them slipping, or if you really just have a very small piece of paper that you want to run it on and you're worried about it moving around, you can grab some washi tape and just place it on there. You guys know washi tape comes up and off really easily. I don't think this will move too much, but just to show you, I put that on there for you. Okay, so then what I'm going to do from here is place this on my platform. I'm going to put my cutting mat on top. And then I am going to run this through the Close to My Heart die cut machine. It goes really quickly. What I like about this versus some of the other cutting machines is that it doesn't have that clear mat that crackles and makes that sound that makes you feel like you're breaking something. So let me move this out of the way. And then I'm going to show you what this looks like when you take it out. So you can see this already has such a good cut on it because these pieces are stuck to it, which is what we want, you guys. So let me take these off and I'll remove my washi tape. Save that for another time because you can always reuse your washi tape during a crafting session, which is what I do. So I'm going to take my washi tape off. And remember what I was talking about? If you have something that's stuck in there and it didn't want to come off, that's where you could poke it and those pieces would come off. So a couple things here. This is what the base piece looks like, okay? And then you can see from what's sitting here on my mat that you've got all of these individual letters. So you would need to pick those up and use these as well. Now, obviously I'm not gonna do maybe a black on black, so I like to run it through in 2 different colors, whatever color scheme that I want to use. The other thing that I will share with you is that you can keep the base of this and cut this out and use this on a card front or use it as a stencil or anything that you like. So don't feel like you have to throw that away. In fact, let me just show you a quick sample. So this is one that I did in white and I kept this little piece here for the inside. And I could take that and put this on a piece of cardstock behind it so that the outline is what's showing through. Add some adhesive to that little piece. And then you could tuck this on a card front and start to build a really sweet but very, very simple card, basically from the leftovers, which we love. So that's a quick tip for you there. Now let's talk about a couple of other things. Let me move my die cut shapes out of the way. I did show you this finished sample, and you might be looking at this thinking, well, I've got all these little tiny individual letters that were cut out, and I feel like those are going to be hard to work with to get adhesive on the back. So obviously these little tiny letters that get cut out, I had some that I did on white, some that I did on black. They're going to be too small for you to use like a tape runner, because you're going to have a lot of excess glue that's showing. So I'm going to show you a tip on how I put these together. So again, this is one that I finished where I ran the dies through twice, once in black, once in white. And so I took the black base and the white letters and glued those together. And then I'm gonna show you now the white base with the black letters and how I'm gonna add this S. This is just a little tip for you, but I think you will really like it. So what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna grab this all-purpose mat from Close to My Heart. This is one of those really great must-have tools, because anything that's wet you can use on this and the surface will just wipe right off, which is what you want. So when I'm using watercolor or like a glitter glue or a re-inker or even just my stamp pad, I can stamp on it and I can pick up color with it. This is great because you can just wipe it right off. So here's the tip that I'm going to share with you today, because I am going to add this little S on the end so you can see how I did this process, okay? So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take my liquid adhesive. So you guys, I know we all have our favorite adhesives. What I'm gonna do is take this liquid adhesive and I'm just gonna put a little bit on a mat. You don't need a lot, just put a little bit on your mat. Then grab your little letter here and then take some tweezers to hang onto your letter, okay? These are much more thin than my big chunky fingers, so this will make this process easier. So what I'm going to do now is just very lightly dab that letter into my adhesive, okay? And you can see that it's picking up that adhesive. You don't need a lot, especially if you're using a really good strong adhesive, but you can move your tweezers around if you feel like you're missing some spots. If you get a little excess on there, don't worry about that. I will show you a little tip for that as well. And then from here, all that we are going to do, make sure I'm centered in the camera here, is I'm gonna place this letter S exactly where it's supposed to go. And then I always like to have a piece of little scrap paper on hand, and then I'll press over it so that my fingers aren't getting on it, okay? Now, most clear adhesives, sorry, this is wanting to stick to my little mat. Most clear adhesives will dry. So if you do have a little extra on there, don't worry about it. But if you do have, maybe you put on a little bit too much adhesive and you didn't realize and some of it squeezes out the side, take a piercing tool and you can just kind of clean it up like this. Go around the outside edge and pick off any extra that you don't want, okay? So this is what the finished sample looks like by running this exact same die cut set through in black and in white. So running it through twice, I was able to do like this opposite black and white effect, which is really, really pretty. So you can, again, you can take a card base and I can start building either a very simple card or a little bit more elaborate card, whatever it is that you want to do. So you can see how this is going to look very different based on the colors that you start to layer with. So the great thing about this set that I really like is that all of us make thank you cards. So this is a very timeless thin cut set. This is not going to be something that you're going to use once and put away because it's like a once a year kind of thing. You're going to use this all the time. And I would suggest while you have your supplies out that you actually just run through a bunch of them and then keep the pieces together in little baggies so that when you need them, you have them already pre-cut and ready to go. Now let me finish off with one more little tip here. And that is, again, this all-purpose mat, I've got this adhesive on here. When you're done with it and you don't need it anymore, you can just wipe that adhesive right up. And you can use just a wet paper towel or you can use a baby wipe. I just used a wet paper towel and then I'm just going over it with a dry one and every bit of that came off. So this all-purpose mat is a really great tool to have as well. So if you don't have this thin cut set, this is one of my recommendations because I love it and it looks super cute every time. And hopefully some of those tips for assembling and using this were helpful to you. But again, the order number is Z3684. It's only $9.95, and this is exclusively from Close to My Heart. All right, thank you guys. Have a great day.